Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever in the world you may be. This is Saturday morning, 9 a.m. here in New Delhi. I'm joined by and welcome to this interesting collaboration between Gunners Short and Chakra News. We're talking here about the AFPAC crisis, Pakistan's Polycrisis, really. And of course, we talk about Prime Minister Modi's very successful visit to Israel, the state visit. It's only his second state visit there. It's only twice that an Indian Prime Minister has visited Israel, and both of them happen to be Prime Minister Modi. But let's start without much ado. General Shankar, welcome. Good to see you again.
Thanks a lot, Sandeep. It's great to see you. And before we start our talk, I want to take one comment. It says from
Yeah.
Ramakrishna, "Good morning,
Oh,
sir.
yes.
Tribute to Guru Fraza."
Yes, of
You
course.
know him better than I do, and I only met him once or twice, but I thought he
Right.
was a fine guy. Like to say a few words about him.
Absolutely. And I'm so happy Ramkrishnan brought that up. We've been talking about Maroof sir for the last 48 hours, literally, when that news hit us. I've known Maroof sir for about 25 years now, and I met him, in fact, in the newsroom of India Today, where he came in just after the Kargil war. He was helping out. He had left the army by then, and he was helping us, for the coverage of Parakram, and that's when I first met him, and I, found him to be such a distinguished person, so knowledgeable, so a typical, as I say, General Shankar, an officer, a gentleman, good human being. So many things about him, remarkable, and not given into any kind of rhetoric. And we were most recently 2 years back, we came together for a event we organized in Delhi. It was the 25th anniversary of Kargil, I remember, and we had actually linked up after several years to carry out that. And I was surprised to see Maroof sir, because he had been hit by cancer. He was battling cancer, two cancers simultaneously almost, and he had become very weak and frail. And he says, "No, but I really need to come out there and do what I'm so passionate about." And he's a passionate historian, writer, thinker, and it's a big loss. The last 48 hours, we've just been grappling with that. I was there at his funeral just last evening, and I was so touched to see the number of people that had come there, from the media, from the military. There was such a large turnout. There was a message from the Prime Minister as well. I mean, it's a big loss to this country, given the fact that there is, such a rarity of people like him. One is, of course, we talk about this, General Shankar, that, matters military. We are a nation of 1.4 billion people, but the debate around this very important aspect of our country, that's the military, the debate, the discourse, is so narrow, it's so limited. We have so few people like him. And that's the reason I feel that it was such a big loss to him. I've known him for many years now, and it's always a pleasure to see him. The way, the kind of gravitas he would bring to any debate, any discussion, without getting personal or acerbic, and he would weigh in on certain things. So he was a good man, and I think it's a big loss to the country and to the Indian military, to the media fraternities. Especially at a time like this, what we are talking about today, Jan Shankar, is exactly the kind of situation that Maroof, we miss. Stalwarts like him at moments like this, and of course his place is so hard to find replacements for him. But we'll keep on with it and continue in his memory.
Yeah.
And we are thinking of doing things to remember him by. Hopefully, those will pan out in the next couple of months. But this is a big loss to both the military and the strategic
And the
community
media. Yeah, I
and the
agree with
media.
you completely. I thought he was an extremely good guy. And well, we've lost him. May his soul rest in peace. And let's get back to our talk, what we
Yes.
wanted to. I found this very interesting comment. I'm taking it up upfront because this will set the stage for us to go forward. Thought Provocator says Pakistan is having the last of an AI summit. Afghan and
Yeah.
India. summit painstakingly. Munir, I think it's a great comment. First off in the morning. Yeah, what do you
AI
say about
summit.
fantastic? Good.
No, no, but and
Yeah,
I just this morning, Jan Shankar, I was sitting and writing this piece for India Today on that one particular year, this polycrisis, Pakistan's polycrisis. You can trace it to that one year in the 20th century, where three events happened which have shaped what is going on today. The first, of course, is the Islamic Revolution in Iran, where Ayatollah Khomeini comes in January, right?
79.
By April, Islam, it's an Islamic republic, April 1st. And that sees a blowback from Saudi Arabia, which becomes more hardline, more Sunni fundamentalist. November, you have the siege of the Holy Mosque in Makkah, where again Saudi Arabia pivots to even greater, Islamic fundamentalism. It starts exporting Sunni Islam to counter the Shia thing from Iran. And then in December, you have the invasion of Afghanistan by the Soviet Union, where a country that is a global pariah, that's Pakistan, suddenly becomes strategic partner to the United States. And in between, they've hanged on April, they've hanged Zulfikar Ali Bhutto. And that all of Pakistan's problems can be traced to that one year, 1979. Iran,
Okay.
Saudi Arabia, Afghanistan.
Right. That's a very interesting way of this thing. And so that means, there's a lot of history in this whole story with Pakistan's polycrisis. So what we'll do is we'll first define what's Pakistan's polycrisis all about, and then we'll zoom on to Afghanistan. The way I look at it, today Pakistan faces, these are the polycrisis. I think the circles represent the polycrisis. Of course, there's a war with Afghanistan going on full blast today, right? Then, of course, just earlier this month, there was this issue of, Balochistan. And
Right.
Balochistan is completely out of control from Pakistan. And, internally, the economy is completely short. There's nothing called economy. And
Yeah.
Pakistan has become a military state. This is important for people to understand.
Yes.
Till the 25th Amendment or the 27th Constitutional Amendment took place, Pakistan had a veneer of something called a parliamentary democracy or whatever you call it, or it had a constitution. Today, after that, it is a completely military state. This is not a normal state. This is a state controlled by a military, of the military, by the military, right? And then it has got problems of terrorism internally. We saw earlier this month, right, the blast in the Islamabad, that mosque which happened,
Yes.
where scores of people died. And then, of course, like I said, it's a military state. Why I saying about this military state is this state does not have diplomacy or politics in its DNA anymore. It doesn't have the capability to deal with anyone diplomatically or politically. The only thing it knows is a military approach, right? It will not work. It's going to blow back on them. That's the way I look at it. And
Yes.
then, of course, it's problem with J&K, where today we have started actualizing the Indus Water Treaty, or weaponizing it, or call it what you want, because we are dredging in Chenab, restricting water flows from Ravi and things like that. Add to that, in this entire thing which is happening, you see China has not made one single statement in support of Pakistan.
Yep.
Right? USA is making anodyne statements, but has not given them one naya paisa.
Right.
And it is USA is also all set to use Pakistan once again the way it wants.
Right.
Then the Islamic world has also not spoken for Pakistan in anything, whether it's India, Israel deal, or Iran, everything. Pakistan is left out of the loop. People are only talking of Pakistan in the context of Afghanistan.
Yeah.
No, nothing more. And of course, neighbors. It is now cutty with all neighbors.
Right.
And it has got a strange story. I would say a strange thinking, where it feels its existential problem is with India, but the real existential problem is with Afghanistan.
Right.
Right? This is the polycrisis. I want your views on that. Then probably we'll get into the Afghanistan, what's happening and all that.
Yeah, absolutely. And all of these crises, like you mentioned, Jan Shankar, these are crises created by the Pakistan military. So if you go back to 1979, when Zia hanged Bhutto, Bhutto was he was the first democratically elected prime minister of Pakistan. Right? He started their nuclear weapons program, all of that, and he thought that he could control the military. The military had something else planned for him. They executed him, and they set the template for this army with a country model that you're seeing today. And Munir, he's the first Zia Bharti chief, which is there have been three chiefs who have been commissioned in the tenure of General Zia-ul Haq, which is 1977 to 1988, in the 11 years. So Munir is the most hardline of those three chiefs. That's Bajwa, Rahil Sharif, and of course Munir being the third. And he has taken Pakistan down this, path, economic factors. And the thing is that they believe that they have the answer to all of Pakistan's problems. Oh, this problem, we have this answer. This problem, we will sell minerals. This problem, we'll sell ports. We'll do all of that. But, like you mentioned, he's been at it for the last 1 year. Nothing has happened. The country is economically in the doldrums. The growth is what? A little over 1%.
Zero.
Unemployment is at the highest in 20 years, 30 years. The people in absolute poverty, 60 million people in absolute 6 million people in absolute poverty. I mean, it's in a terrible, terrible shape. And all of this because the military thought it had the answers to all of Pakistan's problems. And as we've seen in the past, it doesn't have any. And today you have, like you mentioned, on one side you have a hostile Afghanistan, on the other side you have a hostile India. Let's not forget there are military exercises on even as we speak. The Strike Corps commander, 2 Corps commander, came out with a very strong statement saying that Op Sindoor is there. So you're looking at, 2 fronts there. You have a simmering issue in Balochistan. You have Iran, which is facing problems of its own. And if there were strikes there, that's further, instability in the southwestern part of Pakistan. And of course, China, like you mentioned, is hands-off approach. I don't care what's with you. You're the best friend of the United States. So, go and get your money from Uncle Sam or something. So it's, and what Pakistan's answer to all of this? It's a $50 or a $60 million answer that Asim Munir has got. Again, a short-term thing. I've shared this with you on WhatsApp. It's a $60 million jet that the Pakistan army has bought for itself. It was delivered in December. They bought it secondhand. I found out the history of it. Very interesting. It's a Gulfstream 600. It's one of the most outstanding and most comfortable long-range passenger jets out there. 12,000 kilometers unrefueled. Can fly from Dubai to Washington. That is the jet that Munir has got for himself on the 4th of December. And it's interesting that how they had G4s before that, the Pak Army, which is at 7,000 kilometers unrefueled range. And because Pakistan army chiefs don't travel much, they spend most of their time in the country. This is one army chief who's everywhere. He's in Washington, he's in Davos, and he's got himself the best plane money can buy, 12,000 thing. And it's a state-of-the-art thing. And it was given away by the numbers. So, the numbers are 786. The registration is 78699. It's a dark blue jet. And that's at Chaklala. So, which is what? It's called Noor Khan now. It's been spotted. So that is his answer.
This is the one.
And that's the jet. Yeah. The Gulfstream G600, 78699, been spotted in Switzerland. It's flown in from, it's a second-hand jet, like I mentioned. It's, sold by an American car millionaire, a guy who's got car dealerships. He owned it for about 2-3 years, and then last year he sold it off. And that's Munir's thing. So this is the paradox. Pakistan is in the worst economic crisis, but the army chief is flying around in a state-of-the-art jet. This is the discourse right now on social media in Pakistan. The chief minister of Punjab, Maryam Nawaz, she's bought herself a G500. So, so possibly these are getaway planes. This is my theory, General Shankar. These are getaway planes if things go out of control, if there is economic collapse. You can be sure these 2 aircraft, It's going to be wheels up. One with Munir, one with Mariam and
I like the way you put it across. The wheels up
wheels up.
and off.
Yes.
But where do they go?
Dubai, London.
But they're not going to be allowed in Dubai now after what's happening with the UAE.
Right. So then this partnership that they have stuck with, there is a palace in Saudi Arabia, I have it on good account, which has been kept for Pakistani leaders.
Pakistan.
Nawaz Sharif was there, if you remember, after this thing. So I think that palace is khali pada hai. So they have to look for, I'm sure they can, the Saudis can give them a few palaces or something. So there's no shortage of things. And this entire axis that they've created of Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Azerbaijan, Pakistan, I'm sure that also involves, a VIP sanctuary in case of a crisis. But, it is reaching that point where you should ask these questions, that what happens if there is a complete economic collapse?
Okay. Let's get to Afghanistan, because I think today Afghanistan is a issue, which is, and we know that in the past 48 hours, Pakistan has carried out airstrikes and the border is aflame. And what's more interesting or this thing is that, today there's also talk that there's going to be some kind of a tone down of this whole story. Yeah. But this is repetitive. It's happened this year, it's happened last year, it's happened the year before that. Every year, all this goes. So and let me put it this way. This is my view, and I want your views, and we'll explain it in detail. That Afghanistan is the existential crisis for Pakistan, and it is not India.
It's not India,
and
right.
This is something we have to understand, and we have to understand the Afghanistan problem in greater detail, right? And that's what I'm going to focus on. But your views on this issue, and then we'll take it on.
Yeah, so Janshakar, traditional Pakistan's crisis was that lack of strategic depth. So Pakistan is a country that's 800 kilometers at its widest. And its generals, I think in the 80s, started thinking that, look, you have Indian strike corps ranged against us. Where will we go? We need strategic depth. So Afghanistan became its so-called strategic depth. They supported the Mujahideen, then they raised and created the Taliban. And I think 2021, when the Americans pulled out, August, that very triumphal picture of the ISI chief sipping tea there in Kabul, they thought that, oh, now this is it. It's going to be an AFPAC alliance of sorts. And how quickly things have changed. Because I think, I can think of, there is Faiz Hamid sipping that expensive cup of tea in the Serena Hotel in Kabul, thinking that all is well.
All is well. And of course, Imran Khan.
And Imran Khan, absolutely. So all these triumphal statements, and I think at times what happens is that when one struggle ends, the benefactors of one particular country think that those guys owe us big time because we supported them, helped them, sanctuaries. And I think of one previous example of this, which is Vietnam and China. See, China kind of supported Vietnam through the 60s. They thought they were the same communists and all of that. But in the 70s, after the unification of North and South Vietnam, I think the Chinese completely underestimated Vietnamese nationalism. And to their shock and horror, the Vietnamese started having a mind of their own. And which forced Mao to send the PLA in 1979. That's another thing that happened in 1979, the invasion of Vietnam by China. They completely underestimated nationalism. Here, the Pakistani military completely underestimated Pashtun nationalism.
Yeah.
Which is on both sides of the Durand Line.
Both sides of the border.
I think we the Durand Line.
I think we'll discuss this a little more, because I think the crux of the whole story is understanding this Durand Line politics and the history. So I'll go into it in a little detail. Like this is Amar Sinha, who was the ambassador
in Kabul.
Yeah. So let's hear what he had to say about this whole story, right? And then we'll take it forward.
Line actually rests, is perhaps the crux of
Can
the
you hear it?
problem,
Yes, yes.
which was left behind as a legacy by the British, because they left the Durand Line and status sort of undefined, and guided by a 100-year-old treaty, which in 1993 ended. And rightfully, then Afghans believed that this territory, that territory that they had given away to the British when they had signed the Durand Agreement, um, would come back to them. And that has never happened. So they have never had a settled border since 47. And that is why, if you see, Afghans, of course, objected even in 47 when Pakistan was getting independence, and they objected when Pakistan was joining the United Nations. Uh, and this has festered all along. Add to that the problems that Pakistan created itself by its treatment of the Pashtuns in its tribal and federal and Fatah areas, and of course its external policies of promoting a rabid brand of Islamic fundamentalism, which was also sort of spread around within the Pakistan society, and TTP is an outcome of that, uh, those policies of the military.
Yeah, he's made a lot of important points, but
Yeah.
I'll like to put it pictorially, and like to expand a few issues. You see, if you notice the Durand Line, this is the Durand Line which was created
Yeah.
in 1893 with Pashtuns both sides of the
Okay.
divide. Okay, we have to understand, what Amar Sinha said, and let me expand it. The Durand Line during the British time was a frontier, not a border.
Hmm.
Okay, that's the important thing. So Pakistan inherited an unsettled border,
Yeah.
and Pakistan always knew that this will be a problem. The Radcliffe line, which is this with the border with India, was a demarcated border.
Right.
But Pakistan's claim on Kashmir converted the Indian border as the primary border. You see, this is how they have evolved themselves. Now, so far, Pakistan managed one border playing the one against the other, but that
Yeah.
time has run out. And this is what I wanted to put across to everyone. And I'll put this across, and then we can discuss, because this is the crux of the problem between India, Afghanistan, and whether Pakistan will remain as a state or not.
Right.
Look at the Durand Line. See, the what you spoke of, the Pashtun subnationalism. When you say Pashtun subnationalism, it's the subnationalism on this side of the border. It's not this side. It is here.
Yeah.
Here, people
In
know they're
Afghanistan, that is the
Pashtun.
main nationalism.
Yeah,
It
this
is
is the problem. This is
Afghan
the crux
nation.
of the
Yes.
problem.
Yeah.
Okay. Look, this problem was known, like you rightly said, and what Amar also said. 1947-48, Jinnah knew that this problem was going to come up. And what he did was he knew he couldn't solve it. So he had to externalize it. That's why I said playing one border off against the other.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
1947-48, who led the invasion of Jammu and Kashmir at that point of
They
time?
were all tribals,
Tribals.
Afghan tribals. Yeah.
Afghan tribals. Okay. So he diverted them that side.
Yeah.
Come 65, again Ayub Khan diverted these people into, for Gibraltar. Again, that nationalism, Pashtun subnationalism was to be diverted. Because all through, they had this problem with Afghanistan. Afghanistan was claiming all this land back. Look at this thing, 79 to 89, which you started off, 79, what happened? Of Zulfikar Ali Bhutto being
Yeah.
hung, and whatever happened after that, right? What did he do in this 10-year period when after the USSR came into Afghanistan? He created Mujahideen. He
Yeah.
created this factory of radicalizing Islam along the Durand Line,
Yeah.
right? And he sent Mujahideen. For 10 years, he played this and sent the Pashtun subnationalism away from here into Afghanistan.
Exported
First,
it into Afghanistan.
exported, yeah. First, it was exported to India, then it was exported into Afghanistan. Then you see that is the time when they created this concept of strategic depth.
Hmm.
Okay, it didn't come. That is the time when they said, "Oh, why if we have Afghanistan as our backyard and where we can do
Yeah.
what we want, Then this 800 kilometers on which you said 800 is only here and at Balochistan area. Otherwise, it's only 300-400 kilometers, right? So they created this, conceptualized this. Then 1990 to 2000, once Afghanistan, USSR broke up and all that. That was the period, 1990 to 2010 years, the period of Taliban 1.0 ruling, from Kandahar. Remember that hanging of Najibullah to the time, the second, all that. That's the period I talk of. Again, all these chaps who were footloose, these Mujahideen was footloose, were sent into Kashmir. And I think that was one of the toughest periods of,
yes. The worst fighting, the casualties that we took were the highest in that period, I remember.
In that period, right? And all foreign terrorists and Uzbeks and all kinds of characters who were there. And then you look at it from 2001 to 2021, after 9/11.
Yes.
Right? US landed up in Afghanistan. Taliban 2.0 was manufactured from from 2.1. And all this time, again, Pakistan supported this Taliban to keep them away from Pakistan and orient them towards Afghanistan. And then they used these fellows against USA. And that's the time when TTP was formed. Right? At some point of time, the subnationalism came home and to stay rooted in this area. Right? The Waziristan and that belt, Parachinar and all that. Well, this is Parachinar, this is North Waziristan, South Waziristan, all that. And then the TTP came up and started, the homegrown militancy. And 22 onwards, these chaps have nowhere to go. After the US left that side, and you done what you had to do. You also abrogated Article 370. You did a political strike. They couldn't send Afghans this side. The Afghans won't go that side. Right? Then what do you do? So now you see that, Pakistan has no way to send these people. And that is where it is. And they are now in a strategic sandwich. I mean, that's the way I look at it. And of course, we've seen this, right? So I want your views on this. I've just given you a rundown, a presentation and all that, put things in place.
No, absolutely. And one aspect of this 79 crisis, 79 to 88, the so-called Afghan jihad, was this weaponization of Sunni Islam by the CIA, the ISI, Saudi Arabia, all of these countries. They came together, and the most important aspect is that this so-called Islamic, transnational jihad thing was actually perfected in these years, where this concept of foreign fighters who would come in from Chechnya, from Uzbekistan, from the Arab countries, Egypt, Algeria, all of these places, Yemen, and they would all fight the Soviets in Afghanistan. It looked very, useful for those years. But then I have feeling that this machinery was not shut down. That continued. Like you mentioned, the Pakistan state then absorbed this machinery and started using it against India for that. From 1988, we saw the problems in J&K. Literally, they were sending people in battalion-sized formations at that time. I remember. Literally hundreds of militants were crossing the border, many of them foreign terrorists. So that template is then being copied by others like ISIS. Like ISIS's whole thing of creating a global Islamic emirate where all, fighters from all over the world would converge, and then, they'd have, a territory of their own. Those seeds were actually sown here between 1979 and 1988. And the Mujahideen led to the Taliban. The Taliban is, of course, pure Pashtun. The Mujahideen were a patchwork of nationalities. Hazaras, they had Tajiks,
Uzbeks,
Pashtuns,
Hazaras,
all of them, Uzbeks. And
also from Arabian lands,
so the Arab volunteers. And let's not forget, there was a civil engineer from a very distinguished family, construction family in Saudi Arabia, who was brought in for his expertise in building cave tunnel complexes, which the Mujahideen could hide their ammunition and this thing. And that's Osama bin Laden. He was brought in there for his construction expertise. And then, of course, he went on to destruction in 2001. He became a bad guy. So the other thing is that, I was reminded, I visited Afghanistan only once in December 2001 after the fall of the Taliban, and I was there for almost 2 weeks. So it was an interesting time going around this country, and it was, of course, it was a weird kind of a thing, and I was Flash Gordon. I was actually reminded of Flash Gordon comics, where they have this all these different races from all parts of Mongo, that kingdom, come together. Lion men from the caves of Kabu, and rat men and crocodile men, and all people converging on that kingdom. It was similar, in Kabul of 2001. You had Pashtuns, you had Tajiks, Uzbeks, all private militias walking around with weapons. And I would sit in this tea shop over there, and that was the best place to get, the flavor of the thing. So, and the way I looked, people would look at me, Hindi, and they would call me to their table, join us, let's talk. So I got talking with one group of Pashtuns and young chaps, fighters, and they're all mad to my mind. They only believe in fighting all the time. So one of them said, my friend, I want you to remember 3 words. These will stay with you for a long time. So he said, Mung Pashtunistan Garo. I think that's in Pashto. And that translates into, we want Pashtunistan. So he was talking of a Pashtun nationalism that straddles the Durand Line that you mentioned, Afghanistan and Pakistan. And he said, one day we will come together. It's inescapable. And that was 25 years back. So, my mind was focused on, I was there, I was looking at, Taliban, Al-Qaeda. But what I missed at that time, which has now come to the fore, is this undercurrent of Pashtun nationalism, which has always been there. And they've been one people for 1,000 years or more. So all of this, rest of this thing is just cosmetic. You come, British come, they draw a Radcliffe line or a Durand Line and buzz off. They've been there for just 100 years. But like you mentioned, this is losing sight of that problem. That is the state of Pakistan now, waging this existential crisis. Whether they have the... Yeah.
I picked this up today from Don. Don had written something, but I've changed it. I feel the crux, and I like your views. What you're saying resonates with this. That's why I put it up. Pakistan's quarrel is not with the Afghan people, but with the Taliban and TTP safe havens that threaten Pakistan's sovereignty and strategic depth. Okay? Yes. And Afghanistan's quarrel is not with Pakistani people, but with the Pashtun land which they consider Pakistan is occupying east of Durand Line. Exactly what you had said.
Yes. Absolutely.
What you heard in the tea shop 25 years back. This is the crux today which is there. Your views on this, please continue.
No, absolutely. And Jan Shankar, there is one personality you're missing out in this who actually epitomizes the struggle for Pashtunistan across both Afghanistan and Pakistan. He's he's a Pashtun, more popular in Pakistan than in Afghanistan because he's Imran Khan. And like that very medieval kind of thing, he's blind almost in one eye, right? And he's blinded because of a very important thing. He is a Pashtun. He's immensely popular in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. And he's possibly the first Pashtun in several decades who's got widespread acceptability in Pakistan, Pakistan's Punjab. Today, Imran Khan is more popular than all the Sharifs put together. Whether it is Shahbaz, it's Nawaz, Maryam, all of them together, they are no match for Imran Khan. So this is the man whom Asim Munir fears. So I was just looking again, at 1979, Asim Munir is a 11-year-old boy growing up in Rawalpindi, studying in that local school. His father is he's a principal of that local school in Rawalpindi, one small village outside. And Imran Khan is this cricketer who's already playing the World Cup for Pakistan in 79. And look where they are today. He is the most powerful man, and his most feared opponent is in prison. He's half blind. And he has reason to keep him there, because if Imran Khan comes out, the kind of rallying around of all of these factors, whether it's Pashtun nationalism or the deep hatred for the military that is actually being fanned in Pakistan. That's all going to come together. And that's why he's the most dangerous man, I feel, to Asim Munir's continued reign. There's no one
don't you
else.
think, no,
Yeah.
let me put it this way. Isn't Asim Munir making Imran Khan into the most dangerous man, dead or alive? And
No,
this is
so
going to...
we've discussed this. Now the thing is, why does Munir not kill Imran Khan? Very easily he can do that, just like Zia did. He just dragged this chap,
Bhutto.
kangaroo court, dragged Bhutto to the gallows. Bhutto was executed, and it's really pathetic when you read those accounts of Bhutto. He was like he had trouble standing up. He was so weak. He had been in prison. They had not given him food. He was a literal puppet, and he was hanged, and he was disbelieving even till the very end. Sometime in April '79, he was brought out. This thing, they read out this thing sentence and said, "Mr. Bhutto, you're being executed," and he couldn't believe that you guys are hanging me. You know what I've done for you. Ye kya kar rahe ho tum? Ye mujhe. That's apparently some of his last words. Now, Munir can very easily do that to Imran Khan, but he doesn't do it for one simple reason. And that reason is Munir does not know if Imran Khan is a bigger threat to him dead or he's a bigger threat to him alive. And the day he figures that out, something will happen. So all these stories of Imran Khan being blind in one eye and all, they're possibly point, maybe just, as these monarchs did in the past. Why kill the guy? Blind him. He's useless after that. So something like that, because there is no other threat internally. So Pakistan, all the polycrisis that they manufactured. See that. What is the Pakistan Army's motto? Faith, unity, discipline. That's what Zia turned it around.
Jihad fi sabilillah.
Jihad fi sabilillah. So
Iman taqwa and something.
Iman takbir, jihad fi sabilillah.
Yeah.
Now, in 2026, I think they should look for a translation of the sentence called "Every crisis is an opportunity." Whatever the Arabic translation of that is that is the Pakistan Army's motto. Everything, whether it is a crisis or a polycrisis, let's figure a way out. How can we make money out of this?
Right. So where does that leave India? What do we do? Let me ask you this question.
I want to go to what you had said. What General Pushkar said is the hard power aspect of the Indian state, which is Op Sindoor 2. You try anything with us. We don't care what you're doing within your country. Whatever you're doing is, best of luck to you. But you try anything, you kill our civilians. We'll come at you with Op Sindoor 2.0. But then, recalling our previous conversation, Janishankar, if you give him Operation Sindoor 2.0, you're actually strengthening his position.
Yeah, you're strengthening.
So this is a crisis, dilemma for us, that we should not strike at him militarily.
Yeah, the way I look at it, I believe Op Sindoor 2 is already on.
Right.
That's the way I look at it. Okay, Op Sindoor 2 is silent, non-kinetic, and indirect.
Okay. Right.
Okay. I'm not saying that we're doing it deliberately, but things have come about that way.
Silent. What is
silent, non-kinetic, and indirect?
Right.
Okay, and you view it through the lens of Basil Littleheart, who wrote this thing of strategy of indirect approach in the last century, at the times of the Second World War. Yeah. Right. Now, look, the way I look at it, today the Indian Army and the Indian border, I would say the Western border, our Western border, their Eastern border, for us is a anvil.
Yeah.
You deployed the army, you deployed everyone, and they can't penetrate it. I mean, they might do a few this thing, but largely you created an anvil. Okay. And Pakistan is the nut which you have to crack.
Right.
Now, the hammer which you have to use against this anvil to crack the nut are what? It is Balochistan, it is Afghanistan, it is TTP, it is water, it is China, it is USA, right? Isn't it so? If that
Yes.
be so, isn't it playing out itself? Right? Isn't that playing out itself? Look at this. These are the hammers which are hammering, whatever is happening inside. You
Yeah. Yeah.
holding fort here. So why should you
Right.
do anything when something is happening automatically to Pakistan state?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Even UAE is not supporting them. UAE says call back. He's calling
Yeah.
back money. So financially he's getting hammered. He's getting hammered physically on the Afghan border. It's not
Right.
no fun to lose so many people on the border. And this is
Right.
not going to stop. Right? We know that this is not going to stop. Okay. So if this is not going to stop, and water, you already started operationalizing the
Yeah.
Indus Water Treaty the way you want it, and you pose and you say that you pose an existential threat to Pakistan, whereas Pakistan's existential threat is somewhere else. He's not looking there seriously. He still wants to focus on you, and where he
Right.
has to focus, he's not focusing. He doesn't have a political solution. He
Yeah.
only has a military solution for a political problem.
Right.
This problem, right? And today, the Afghan Taliban ministry, in fact, has sent an envoy to India just 2 days
Right.
back.
Yes.
Okay, you are on one to one. You are operating from here. You are one to one with whatever is happening here. You have given moral support to what is happening in Baluchistan. You are doing this, and this, of course, is taking its own. It's got its own dynamics within Pakistan. And the Americans have helped us by giving a whole lot of weapons to Afghanistan, which can only
Seven billion worth of hardware.
ammunition and everything, and it's there. And even today, I heard, Trump talking that we want Bagram Air Base.
Yeah.
Now, Bagram Air Base, if won't be given to him without India's say so today. That's the way I look at it, right? And the Afghans will extract conditions out of Pakistan of USA against Pakistan, right? Pakistan is in a strategic sandwich today.
Strategic
So,
sandwich. Right.
okay, that's Opsindur too, the way I look at it. Your views.
How interesting. Now, I have to ask you this then, General Shankar. This question that's been bubbling in my mind is that will Pakistan collapse? If it does, what will that collapse look like? Look, it's come to a point, you said it's a strategic sandwich. I don't think it's been as bad in 2026 as it has been in previous years. There is a view that says that, oh, Pakistan is going to collapse any moment. But there's another view, and this is from my former editor, MJ Akbar's book, Tinderbox. He spoke about this, where he says that, look, Pakistan will not collapse. It will never be secure. It will never be rigid. It will always be toxic jelly, he says. It will always be in a jelly-like state without collapsing. When you see it, it's shaking, but it is always, there is something that's holding it together. You believe that that is the case, or will the conditions today, as you pointed out, I mean, it's a polycrisis of sort, it's in a literal, tinderbox. If it collapses, what will it look like? What will be those 2 or 3 things to look out for, which will actually lead to those jets flying out of Pakistan?
Let me speak of it. This has got roots in what happened in Op Herof 2 last month or earlier this year. Yeah, Baluchistan. Look, these two, Rekodik and Sandek, are one of the largest copper mines around.
Right.
And Sandek already China is present.
Right.
Okay, they have been mining there for the past 10 years. And that mine has got another 20 years to go. After that, it will finish. But the mother lode is Rekodik. Rekodik, everyone knew there was copper for a long time, but no one picked it up from there. Okay. Now, Americans want to pick up Rekodik from here because Munir has gone and sold this idea of critical minerals. You remember that photograph and all? It's all about
box of minerals.
Yeah. With Rekodik, and he's offered them Pasni.
Right.
Remember this. Okay? He's offered them Pasni also. So Americans want to enter here. But Americans can't enter here because of the security situation. That's all over American media for whatever it's worth or not. Right. But what is interesting in this whole story is that in whatever happened in Op Herof 2 in this area, Okay, all those attacks which happened. The copper mine at Sendak, run by Chinese, was not touched. So what is that? And there are, I would say, there are credible reports which say that the Chinese have made a deal with the Baluch people,
Right.
which means they are undercut Pakistan already.
They're dealing directly with the Baloch.
Yeah, they're not dealing directly with the Pakistan army anymore on this. They might be dealing with the Pakistan army, but I think for local protection, they've started dealing with BLA. This is what they do in Myanmar.
Right.
In Myanmar, in the Myanmar economic corridor, to put that through, the Chinese have made deals with local outfits on one hand, and they're dealing with the Tatmadaw on the other hand, both sides.
Right. Right.
And I think the Chinese have started doing that here. If the Chinese have started doing that here, the Americans also will do that here. Why will they not do that? And if America sets foot in Afghanistan, it will be an ideal way to expand their territorial country out,
Their footprint in Balochistan.
Yeah, Balochistan. And if that happens, right, where does it leave Pakistan? Will China and USA together say, okay, come to an accommodation, you continue in Sendak, I'll continue in Rekodik. Okay, take Pakistan out of the equation. Why should they pay Pakistan army when they can pay the Baluch people the same amount and get complete security? You see, the thing is, please understand, if Pakistan army, they're paying Pakistan army for copper here, but they can't get it out. But if they pay the Baluch people, they can get it out, isn't it?
Yeah. So it makes more economic sense to pay the Baloch.
Now, then the Baluch will say, okay, you pay us and give us independence. In which case, you might, this is an outside chance, I have analyzed this. If you see what America does, or anywhere it goes, it starts doing this. In which case, they might find it convenient to create something out of Balochistan.
Right, right.
Okay, in which case, Pakistan breakup is on the cards. And they will use this problem of Afghanistan, Pashtunistan, and for all you know, they might, give the Pashtun land away to Afghanistan and take this land and create a new state. And then where does it leave Pakistan and break up? I'm probably shooting in the dark, but this kind of a situation never happened earlier.
Right.
Earlier, all our talk of Pakistan breaking up and toxicity, which MJ Akbar has written, is all because of internal factors of Pakistan, not external factors.
Right.
Today, there's an external factor which has come in.
And that is the superpower competition. China and the US.
Yeah, US and things like that. And the fact that the Pakistan army is not effective internally. It's not effective externally. Will someone decide? Like someone is deciding for what's to happen in Iran. What happened in Venezuela? Why did Venezuela, Maduro got, changed? Control of oil and resources.
Control of oil, right.
Okay. All the wars in Africa are all about resources. So will this happen that way? Why did South Sudan and Sudan got split?
Because South Sudan is oil rich. Oil and mineral rich.
Yeah. So the same story, will it repeat itself here?
But that's a fascinating parallel between, South Sudan and Balochistan. So the question then to ask is could Balochistan become like South Sudan? And if it does, what will it look like? That obviously means the end of Pakistan as second partition of Pakistan.
Yeah.
After 1971.
And no one's going to regret it because everyone wants it probably in some manner. Who, right? Everyone wants it. Okay. My view is the way Munir is, that's why I said Munir doesn't have a diplomatic or a political bone. He's all military. He is thinking military. The world is thinking diplomatic. Okay. And why would they not have something like this in Balochistan on their own, which is controllable, free, easy
Right.
for them to do what they want, and everything. Right? I'm sure the Chinese would like a deal of that kind where they don't have to worry about their security, and where where Americans don't have to worry about their security, they can do what
Yes.
they want, and. So I think something like this. Look, this is an idea which will come up in time. This is
And
my
we should
view.
anticipate this, and we shouldn't be taken by surprise. We should
No,
anticipate.
I'm not.
this.
That's why I'm talking
Not
of
being
it. This is the
yeah.
second time I'm talking of it publicly.
Right. So
Okay.
this is a very interesting thing. You're saying that Balochistan could break away quicker than the northwest frontier province, Khyber
Yes.
Pakhtunkhwa.
Yes. Right. And if that happens, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa will go to Afghanistan, and you'll see what is left of Pakistan. Then tomorrow Sindh will put up an
West Punjab.
autoficipation of Pakistan will happen. And I think Pakistan is on the verge of this problem, on the brink of this problem.
Right.
Not many
Because-
people are
yeah.
talking of it, but it's there. Right?
So if the state
And-
of Pakistan is not able to provide for its people, then you're saying that these disparate regional identities then will start becoming more prominent.
The annual revenue profit, whatever you call it, estimated from recording is $5 to $7 billion. Okay.
$5 to $7
Why
billion
would-
dollars. Yeah.
Why would America give that to Pakistan? They'll say, give it to the Baluch people. I get everything out, and for the for the balance of the century, I get copper assured from this area.
Yeah.
So there is this thing. So I think there are a lot of issues in this whole story which we go forward. We have mostly consumed time. I think we'll leave.
Yes. I think we should look at Prime Minister Modi's visit also to Israel. I mean, that's it's on our poster. We can't get away from it, and of course, it's a very
we
very
can't
big
not get away with it. Yeah. So I think we'll leave this. So interesting times in this thing.
Yes.
So what do you make of this Hexagon alliance, which?
I think it's a conceptual framework that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has put up, where he's talking of Greece, Cyprus, Israel, India. He's left out. Hexagon is 6 sides. He's only mentioned 4. He's left out the 2 critical ones, which is
Cyprus,
UAE,
Israel, and India. He's not mentioned these 2.
Somaliland and UAE.
UAE. Right, but he said some Arab countries and some African countries.
Yes.
Okay.
So he didn't want to embarrass the UAE because everyone in Saudi Arabia is attacking the UAE for being very close to Israel and in not very polite words. But for those of you watching, you would of course know that General Shankar has actually put this out. Not in as many ways. He hasn't called it the Hexagon Alliance, but we've seen this before. We've drawn this entire circle of convergences of, quasi-alliances emerging. But I think India would not want to be part of any formal alliance very quickly. I think it will be more of a conceptual framework that we have very good ties with Israel, we have good ties with Greece, Cyprus, UAE, of course, we're extremely close to them. But we wouldn't want to be drawn into, any kind of a NATO kind of alliance. But we will be good friends with them.
We'll not have an alliance, but we'll have a partnership, right?
Partnership.
Already everything is in place, right?
Yes.
Even the Greek foreign minister was here 15 days back, and he wants to have a FTA with us, right? Cyprus, we've gone to Cyprus. Yeah. So I think, and the more important thing is, you see this thing which I found on the net, and they're talking of IMEC and the Hexagon Alliance, the strategic overlap. The interesting part here I want to put across, which is there, is that we've started talking of a FTA with the Gulf Cooperation Council, GCC. And the backbone of the Gulf Cooperation Council is Saudi Arabia. So you today have on both sides of the Arabian divide, UAE versus Saudi Arabia, you're good with both.
Yes.
Good with both. And that means this IMEC should go through. Okay. And here
Because
in
we need
this,
both Saudi Arabia and UAE for the IMEC.
yeah,
They
UAE
can't
for
be,
that. And
yeah,
you are the one who's going to hold this part.
yeah,
And Israel has already initiated an alliance with Cyprus and Greece. And
yeah,
they've invited us for the 3+1 dialogue there,
yeah,
right? So you see this happening, and then the IMEC will start going through.
yes,
On the other end, on the European end, the Europe wants us. We already have a FTA with Europe.
yes,
Look at how things are happening. You having a FTA with Europe, and you having trying to get into an FTA with
yeah,
Israel
yeah,
as a part of this visit, is FTA with Saudi Arabia. You already have a FTA with Oman and
yeah.
UAE. So why won't everything go through, right? And the thing which we need to understand, and I mean, this is what so this is the Hexagon alliance. It's not Hexagon really, but the partnership is hexagonal in nature,
Right.
right?
There are 6 sides to it. But Jan Shankar, we have to, we're coming to the end of our discussion. We must tackle the elephant in the room, which is Iran. There is talk
Yeah,
about a strike in Iran happening in the next couple of hours.
I
They,
don't think so. I don't.
you
My
don't think
personal
there'll be
view,
a strike?
it's
No.
not there, because if you see what the foreign minister of Oman has said,
Right.
Oman has
About the
said what
talks. Yeah.
talks of the talks. The talks concluded yesterday without a deal, but
Yeah.
certain things have come into place there.
Yeah.
If you That's a 20-minute clip. I've not seen it fully, but I was just seeing it before we started. He said that some kind of an agreement is reached where uh, Iran won't keep enriched fuel in Iran. It can go
Oh,
anywhere
okay.
else. Okay.
Okay.
So there's something happening. I don't
Yeah.
think strikes will happen in a hurry. If that happens, the whole scene changes. Please understand,
Right.
this hexagonal alliance, Iran is not against us, because the day when our prime minister was in
Yeah.
Israel, the
Yeah.
Iranian foreign minister was speaking to Gita Mohan of India Today.
India Today. That's correct.
Okay, and he was saying India is an important partner in this whole deal. They're
Yes.
looking at India Iran partnership going ahead and all that. So Iran is not this thing. The whole, even our prime minister's visit to Israel,
Hmm.
the Palestinian equation was dehyphenated.
Right.
Okay, yet supporting the peace initiative as per the UN. So I
Yeah.
think there are a lot of complex diplomatic maneuvers happening in our
Yeah.
favor. I don't
Right.
see
That's
much
that's great. Yeah.
problem in this as it unfolds. But the only
Yeah.
thing which I want to emphasize is our footprint is going to go into the Mediterranean, which
Right.
means you need to expand your military capability there. Are we strategically thinking of that? And are we physically prepared to send our military into the Mediterranean? What will be the impact of our military appearing in the Mediterranean, and the impact on the overall, strategic scenario? Is a
Uh,
question I don't
what are
know
you
whether
suggesting? Are you saying we need bases in the Mediterranean?
look, virtually, if you're going to have this IMEC going through the way it
Yeah.
is, IMEC going through the way it is, right? You need something in the Mediterranean. You
In
have no
Cyprus.
doubts about it, right? Cyprus, yeah, you're already looking at Cyprus. You're looking at this IMEC going through. So Europe also will welcome you there. You're going to go there. Israel is going to be there. Greece will come in. Already you've done exercises with the Greek Navy there. You already done a couple of exercises there,
Right.
right? So, which means expansion of your military might into the Mediterranean. Which, are you strategically thinking of it? Are you fundamentally budgeting for all this financially?
Right. No,
So I think there
it's
are
very
whole
important. You need to put your money where your mouth is.
money where your mouth is, and so this is going to be I wouldn't say testing time for us. I think this is a time where we have to start thinking of new horizons. Are we thinking of new horizons in the manner which things are happening? Are we going to be strategically driven into a situation where we don't know how to anticipate events? Why am I saying this? You see, China expanded its footprint without military backup, and it is
Yes.
suffering for. Okay, it is suffering for that. Are we going to get caught in that strategic trap of thinking everything is trade and not military?
That's true.
Okay.
That's the very important points, to conclude our discussion with Jan Shankar. The fact is that we must anticipate this, and that I like that expression, new horizons.
New
We should actually
horizons.
set
Yeah,
new
you have to.
horizons, and yeah, you can't be looking at the old templates that, oh, I will be here in the Indian Ocean only, and But as you said, that when our trade expands, I think our military presence also should kind of keep up with that expansion, especially around these critical choke points. So we need to put our money where our mouth is, and in this case, the mouths happen to be the mouths of the Red Sea, the mouth of the Persian Gulf, all of those very critical choke points.
Critical points. Yeah. Right. So with this, can we take a few questions? I think
Yes,
we'll
of
otherwise.
course, James.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. First, of course, what's become of Fiaz? Fires, not Fiaz. Fires. He's in
Vice
jail.
is in
Right.
jail. Yeah.
Jail. Yeah,
Waiting
and
trial.
he's
20 years or something. He's going to get 20 years.
he's in jail, and the court martial has given him a sentence also.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Pakistan is enjoying the fruits of its Islamic labor. Pakistan's Gujjar and Rajput converts to Islam have fashioned itself as pest controller for its Islamic benefactors, and now it's party time. Yeah, I think so.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And of course, what I'd like to say is fantastic presentation and a real tribute to Maruf Raza. I think that's the more
Yes.
important, right?
Thank you. Thank you, Ramakrishna.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Afghans, if they don't invest in education, will become extinct. Your views on that?
I don't think they're going to become extinct because their TFR is incredibly high, and they're one of the youngest populations in the world. I think their median age is 18 or 19 or something like that. But yeah, if they don't invest in education, you cannot be fighting endless wars. Warfare cannot become a substitute for economic growth, and yeah, they have to invest. There's no doubt about it, and that is something where India can help them.
Help
We are
them.
very good at
Help
soft
them.
skills. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. India in watchdog mode? I don't think so. I think we are active. Your views?
Yeah, we are. I think we are patient, and at times our strategic patience is mistaken for, being watchdog mode. But I think we are quite active.
Yeah.
And you're going to see
Okay.
the
Very interesting analysis regarding Mullah Munir and IK. Asks us, what is the something that is most probable to happen when Mullah Munir figures out whether IK is less of a threat to him, dead or alive?
Well, he dies. I mean, it's very sad, but that's what everybody fears, that Imran Khan will die in prison. Either of natural causes, or there will be some unnatural elements introduced, and it's tragic because you must respect the fact that that man is possibly one of the bravest politicians in the world today. He could have
Yeah.
bent, he could have bowed, he could have taken that palace route out, Saudi Arabian palace. 20 years in exile. He is not bent, he is not bowed. That's remarkable. That's gutsy guy. I have to give it to him.
India, the context of the fact that Op Sindoor 2 is on, why India is not diplomatically recognizing the current regime in Afghanistan? We are doing it. We are not doing it only the way it is because of the UN has not recognized, USA has not recognized, but everyone is
That was a
dealing.
big part. Yeah, but we
Everyone
are
is dealing.
almost.
Yeah. Sandeep sir, unless we put the hammer to the nail, Pakistan may come out of this polycrisis just like previous worst situations. After all, they are the same DNA, stubborn, see opportunity in every crisis. Your view, will they come out?
No, this is a crisis that they cannot emerge from, because there are so many aspects of the crisis. It's not just one, like you mentioned in the past. There would have been one crisis or two. This is a convergence of several crises at the same time, that literally the house is on fire,
Yeah.
And there's no other way
There's
around.
no go for them. There's no way out.
There's no hope. It's yeah.
Okay, why wouldn't America coming into Afghanistan and Balochistan be bad for India? They are always overbearing and never know when they've outlived their outcome.
Well,
Look,
I think, yeah.
The Americans are already there in Bangladesh. You got to deal with this. You got to deal with these characters called Americans.
Yes.
The Americans were there in Pakistan. After all, a lot of it, our constraints have come to how to deal with Pakistan have come from Americans.
Has
We have
come
to
from
deal
the
with it. That's
American
about all,
support. Yes.
right? So, yeah. Mm. Okay, this is very nice. Today, people are in a good mood. We should do direct funds transfer and help them to break up.
After AI, this is like a AI summit.
AI and DDPT. Today, we've been learning a hell of a lot.
We have to rewrite our lexicon here. AI and BT. I've got two expressions today, Jalal Shankar.
And then, of course, Sudarshan Chakra and GDP growth is our focus. Yeah, of course, there's no doubt about it.
GDP growth, actually, I don't think even Sudarshan is as much as a priority as GDP growth.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting point on how trade requires security and cooperation of armed forces. Amazing sessions. Thanks. Okay. Look,
thank you, sir.
You can't trade without security. As simple as that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
As there's no this thing. Yeah. Ramkrishnan wants, he says, please do a show on India's third quarter GDP, 7.8% growth. Jai Mahabharat. We'll do that, don't worry.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, this is a good thing to look at.
If India can somehow work out a deal where India mines rare earths in Afghanistan and gets it out through Chabahar to supply to USA and the world, that will be the best for India.
That's a good suggestion, actually. We can.
But it's not going to work.
Iran. We need Iran.
It's not going to work because it's too complicated at this point of time. Maybe next year, if we can talk of it, if things change. The crux of this whole story is Iran. What happens in Iran?
Exactly. What happens to Iran? And every time our thing of, Chabahar is like a valve. Every time there's pressure from the US, the valve shuts. There's pressure removed, the valve opens. So it's sad, but our entire thing with Iran is guided by the United States. How the US-Iran ties are.
Yeah, are we out of Chabahar? You're just speaking. That's the question.
Yeah, we are completely out of Chabahar. It's sad, but it's true. We are completely out of Chabahar. There's nothing there for us. Till the time this entire US thing is not sorted out,
we won't get settled. Yeah. I think we've done for the day. Anything else you want to say? Otherwise, you can conclude, Sandeep.
Well, absolutely no. A great session as always, Jan Shankar. I think we took a break last week because of the AI summit, and we are back to another AI summit this week, which is the Afghan India summit with Pakistan in the middle. Yeah, but I think this is, like you mentioned, that the fighting on the AFPAC thing might actually subside very soon. It's an irony that two Islamic states are actually fighting the holiest month of the Islamic calendar, that's Ramzan, and the fighting might very soon stop. But like you mentioned, this is a simmering crisis in Pakistan's backyard, and that is going to continue over the next couple of months. There's going to be spurts in the fighting, then there will be periods of peace, but I don't think the Pakistanis are going to have it easy there. And just as we've mentioned in today's show, that there are far too many complex issues at play over here. It's not just one. It's a polycrisis, and I can't see the Pakistan military coming out of this. And the thing is that this polycrisis is building up. It's bubbling up. The kind of stuff that's coming out of Pakistan is heartrending. The kind of poverty and starvation and all of that. And here across the border, you have the largest the largest feeding program in human history. 70 or 80 crore people getting free rations. It's never happened in the history of humanity, I think. Such a large mass of people being fed by the state. We can debate on the merits of that at some other point, but the fact is that here you have food surplus country which is doing well economically, which doesn't want to get into Pakistan's troubles, but is being dragged in. So the challenge for us is to ensure that we do not get dragged into that black hole that's being created over there. Yeah, that is Pakistan. And it's entirely of their own doing, right? They had an excellent opportunity. I'm not getting into the merits and demerits of partition, but They had an opportunity. They could have made this great country of their own, whatever they've chosen. But they chose to destroy it, put the military in charge. And, it is important. Militaries are important. It's a very important instrument of state power, but it cannot become the state. And when it becomes the state, this is what you
Then
get.
the end of story.
That's then that's the thing that Pakistan is dealing with, and to an extent Afghanistan also, because the Taliban. I was looking at those photographs with the Taliban fighters, the relish in their eyes that they're back to combat. 5 years of bureaucracy have dulled this thing, and now they're getting this thing of kick of combat.
Yeah.
So that's I think, but this is a crisis. We'll keep tracking it. Please keep tuned in for further installments of Gunner's Shot, Chakra, our collaborations. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe our content. Subscribe to Gunner's Shot, one of a kind channel. Do that. General Shankar runs this all by himself. You get the kind of analysis that you don't on any other channel. And most importantly, again, I'm saying this, I say this every time, I mean every word of what I say, is that his horizon is far greater than that of other channels, and he tends to talk about things in a way that will give you an idea where stuff is leading to. It's not about here and now or in the rear view mirror. It's always looking ahead. So that horizon that he's mentioned, see the hexagon, that's literally something that we've been talking about in the last couple of weeks without calling it a hexagon. He said that, look, there seems to be a convergence of interests. You will get great insights, deep insights. Please keep tuning in. Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Indian Standard Time, we are here. We spend an hour doing this. This is one of the best shows that we do every week. So don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Gunner's Shot and Chakra.
And
So
Chakra.
with that, we come to the end of this. Thank you very much. Thank you, General Shankar. Thanks for joining.
Thanks a lot, Sandeep. It was a pleasure today talking about all this.
As always, General Shankar. Take care. Have a great